Hey there, welcome to Avian Games. I'm
And
Jen.
I'm Chris.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about how to change the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Because we don't like it.
Yeah, we hate this game, so we thought we should change it.
I'm a masochist.
So I texted Chris the other day and was like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Needs a little change. I think there needs to be some sort of change to it. I feel like a lot of people have been talking about how the formats have been stale. Like, I swear to God, I mean, this usually, I feel like this always happens towards the end of a format. You just like, everyone's like, oh, the same decks win. Blah, 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 blah. I feel like I always hear Simo go like, oh, this needs to change. We need to get rid of this. This is just dumb. And that's kind of what the ban list does. But I think it'd be fun if Yu-Gi-Oh! Just implemented more stuff like it did. What is it? Where they did Link Monsters? Was that a certain Master Rule, or was that Master Rule 5? That's not Master Rule 5.
It's Master Rule 4.
Yeah, that's 4. And then 5 is when they got rid of Link monsters being required to do extra deck stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think that was a big change. So Master Rule 6, these, I guess you could say, well, some of mine don't really have to do with Master Rule, I would say. I have a couple that do and one that doesn't. So Chris and I both came up with 3 each on how we think the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Should change going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'll let Chris kick it off because I'm very curious to see what he starts with.
I think I have 3 good ones.
Yeah, I think I have 2 good ones.
I think I have 3 good ones, but the first one is going to be the only iffy one. I think that Link monsters should have a defense stat and should be able to go into defense.
Ooh. Okay, so does that mean that's a tough one, because wouldn't you have to errata all of the other ones, or what would those?
See, I was thinking that they could just always have equal attack and defense.
Okay, so that's kind of an interesting idea, because what is that really affecting all that much? I guess that's like
I was thinking the arrows. Is that like Link monster? Now you could have arrows that like go to different spots.
Ooh, shift to your opponent's side.
Yeah, some like crazy shit like that. But also, man. But I don't know if.
What if defense stat was upside down?
That could be cool.
So your opponent gets the arrows.
But I don't know if I don't know if they could make because like defense could go both ways. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you could go like clockwise or counterclockwise kind of thing. So I don't know if they would have to say like, oh, the top of the card has to face left kind of thing, or like if it could just be like up to you in which way they point in that regard. But
well, I guess we're gonna do it that way. I mean, I would think that would be up to, you as the player that owns the card, which way you'd put it. But then if it were up to, for the other way that I just said, like if you flipped it upside down, then it would be like whoever it would stay always the same.
Yeah, that's true.
Although I don't know if that like would be weird or kind of confusing to try to keep track of, like, this is your Link monster, and then what like happens, I guess, if things are co-linked. It'd be kind of interesting. I don't know. That would shake up the game quite a bit.
Yeah, I just think it'd be cool to have some way to like make like Link climbing kind of like almost up to you versus like whatever Konami prints, you know?
Maybe it's just me. I know Link climbing is still big, especially with access code. But like I think about when Master Rule, like when Link's not first came up, but when they were like really starting to get established like that, I felt like that was like the thing, like doing Goki stuff and doing all this like shit. I feel like Link stuff isn't really that popular anymore, other than like generic big boss guys or specific decks. But it's not. I felt like there was a while there where people were like, "Oh man, you got to get that." Like sometimes you can actually go into your opponent's Link monster zone and you can steal their Link zone. I don't even remember the last time my Link zone was stolen, if ever.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how it always goes, though, right? Like Synchro Monsters were wicked good, and then they just became fucking amazing, and then it was just like, you know, they all became so good that like they need to introduce a new type.
Yeah,
I think that's like realistically what is happening, if anything, next. You know what I mean? It's gotta be like a new monster type probably or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if you want to, I like yours. I guess I can shift into mine because it's kind of on that same vein as introducing a new monster type.
Is this one was that
this isn't the one that what? Well, no, there's a specific monster type I'm talking about.
Is this your confident one or your non-confident one?
No, this is a fine one. Well, this is one of the fine ones, not the one I'm least confident on.
Okay.
This one would be introducing an extra deck monster that only solely uses banished monsters. And it would be its own different kind, but it would be, I don't know, I don't have a name for it. So like rituals there, fusions there, but this would be strictly something in your extra deck that can only use banished monsters.
This just sounds like somebody who wants their Grand Madru deck to be good.
I mean, maybe.
I mean, I'm thinking you were laying in bed at night and you were like, God, what could make this deck even better?
Honestly, honestly, that wouldn't be that good though, because half that stuff's face down. So it'd have to be you'd have to get it face up. So I think this would be really cool because it would introduce, it would already make some decks in the game changing. And while you'd introduce monsters, unless they weren't specifically mentioned, like a generic monster you could put into a Grand Madru deck, like if you had enough banished stuff that was face up, and you could really start bamboozling with a deck right off the bat versus having to introduce a whole new archetype that uses the whole new thing. And even Link monsters, when they first came out, it was Decode Tucker, which was really good, but what was that Gaia? It's not Gaia. Yeah, Gaia card that was just 3+. It was ass. It's just 2300 Link off. Who cares?
Yeah, but I think that would break Yu-Gi-Oh too much if they just made a deck type monster type like that. That'd be crazy.
I think it'd be instant. Okay, emergency ban list.
I think that would break the game to a point where it would almost be unplayable. Well, just because banish is supposed to be that's supposed to be the last. I mean, I know it's not
out of the game.
Really. Yeah, exactly. And it really isn't like that, but it at least still is the least accessible. You know what I mean?
Well, see, I think that's where I kind of go to the point where maybe what you could do is stuff that would be helpful for the deck would be cards that banish, but you'd still the cards you'd introduce that were actually in the extra deck as banished monsters, like the banished fusion, banished future, whatever you want to call it, they would be specific. So you need this hero monster and this thing to actually do it. So that way it wouldn't be broken off the bat, but there would be generic cards already that are oh man, I'm definitely going to run this because this banishes cards and I need stuff to be banished.
Yeah. It's an interesting idea. I think it's still, even at that point, could be because it would just take that one archetype to be the broken one. You know what I mean?
I
mean, immediately top of my head, heroes, like you said, I can just already imagine some hero infinite loop going with fucking Destiny Hero Malicious, and he banishes himself, and then you summon him back, and then it goes back probably the deck or some shit, because Konami would make it dumb, and then something else would bring him out, banish it, another one would come out.
See, well, that's where Konami has to come in, and Konami has to actually do some work for a fucking living, and go, you know what? Let's make it Bubble Man. That you have to use specifically fucking Bubble Man, and that's how you do it. That would be the way it makes it function. So hero decks, if you want to run this, you get this really good ritual card or whatever banish card, but you have to run fucking Bubble Man in your deck to make it work.
Interesting. I'm always down with new card types. But
I struggled because both my other ones have nothing to do with another card type. Yeah, well, it does, but not extra deck, I guess, is what I'm saying. But
spoilers. I saw one. So there was this post one time. There's posts on Reddit all the time about people being "Oh, I made my own custom extra deck type." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was this type one time that somebody posted, and they said that they should be clock extra deck monsters or something like that.
Huh?
And that every turn that went by, they would just gain a new effect.
Oh, but I feel that's what Time Thief should be.
Yeah, right, something like that. But the person literally had fucking the card's text literally was on turn 12 after this card.
Jesus Christ, what is that 10 paragraphs?
Exactly, it was so long, and everyone was this is so bad originally, it's never gonna stay on field, and then they're never gonna do anything. You know what I mean? And the guy was yeah, but casual duels, they'd be wicked good.
See, but what you know what? Off of that same idea, this wasn't one of my ideas, but it's kind of sparked something in me. Is what if you did timed extra deck monsters that couldn't come out until certain turns, so they were more powerful the more turns you got into.
You know what? I'd fuck with that. That'd be cool.
On turn 5, you get this card, and it's fucking bonkers. But you have to I feel though that probably perpetuates stun decks because you just run okay, Mystic Mind, pass. Oh, now I can release this fucking Kraken.
Yeah, that's true.
which is tough. I mean, you want to make sure the game is somewhat speedy and fast,
but you could also just make them, again, like you said, like make them specific. You know what I mean?
That's true. I don't know how you bring them out, but
yeah.
I mean, like, I guess the simple way to fix that stun variant is, get rid of stun cards. Maybe not make, I don't know, a card that negates all the effects on the field to 3. It's, I don't know, Konami. But yeah, that was my first idea. What do you got? What's the next?
My next one, I'm gonna say this one next because it's like I think the least interesting of what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
I wish I could talk. Fucking.
What are words?
Jesus Christ, seriously. I think that they need to make rules for tag duels. Just make it a format. Come on.
I know. Why aren't tag duels a thing? I mean, I know some whatchamacallits do it, like locals. I think people just like house rule stuff, and you can look up online. We've looked up house rule crap, but
yeah,
I don't understand why that isn't like a widely known format.
Yeah, seriously, like that.
Why isn't that every YCS?
Fun. That'd be so sick.
It'd be cool to collaborate with another person on how to build the deck, and that automatically makes it you're doing 80 card decks at that point because it's 2 decks in one, and you're trying to if you want to do a strategy to really be cohesive. I mean, you could just do 2 random decks, but I think there's some really cool combos that come out oh, my opponent's running this and I'm running this. Chris and I don't think we've ever talked about it, but we did a what was it even called? Oh yeah, the Team APS 3-way tournament. Yeah. 3v3, so awesome. You switch decks every time. So you use you use your deck, but you get to keep the field and graveyard. And Chris was running Plunder, our friend was running Monarch, and I was running Grenmaju, and we were just banishing the shit out of our decks. And my Grenmaju would get huge. Chris would set up this amazing Plunder board to start negates. It was so much fun, which I think that one's more widely known, but I think are you talking fun. More with the Kaiba Yugi, when they do the 2v2?
Yeah, like a 2v2. Yeah. Well, really, any, I get, it could be a 3v3 or because Konami also does 3v3s.
I hate those. I think they're dumb.
Where they're just 3 games or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that you can talk to your teammates, which I think is at least interesting enough for me to like it.
But, I guess. I feel like this is kind of a shot at you, but there's definitely times where if we're both playing, and Chris and I will play I'll play on Discord, he'll play on Discord, and we'll stream it together, and we'll watch. If I'm playing or you're playing, we're barely paying attention to the other person. I'll be what effect should I activate? And you'll be I guess that one. I don't know. I'm not paying attention to your full board. I don't know what's in the banish or the graveyard.
It is true. It's kind of what the fuck do you do?
I said the only time I could see that helping is when, let's say I finish my games and I get blown out or I win or by blowouts or something like that, and I'm okay, I can fully invest my time into Chris's game. I don't know why that's.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's barely 2v2 or 3v3.
To be fair, though, when we're doing that, normally we're under a 2-minute timer or something like that. You know what I mean? When at a locals, I mean, you're not on a. You are on a timer, you know what I mean? But you don't only have 2 minutes to sit there. And I'm sure there's probably some rule that that doesn't count as slow playing or something, you know?
I feel instantly I'm thinking I've always thought, because the only one that can talk to both players is the middle player. I think that's how it works.
Yeah, it is. Which I think is cool.
I think that's interesting, but I now think about it, and I was always okay, Chris knows the most about Yu-Gi-Oh! If we were playing with our other good friend Ethan, Chris would go in the center and we go back, he'd be the one to help us both. But at the same time, I think to myself, Chris takes the longest to duel. So if I'm thinking about it, I think I'm a much quicker duelist, which doesn't make me a better duelist. That makes me probably worse because I do things quicker and don't think about it as much. But I think I play simpler decks that just go faster like that. And you sometimes have to formulate a combo, and you're okay, let me try to figure this out. I can go this way. Yeah, so I think in my head, if I needed to help Ethan or something like that, I'm more likely to be done or finished by losing or winning to help him than you'd be I'm mid combo, I can't help you right
now. Well, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how time rules work.
I think it's 45 minutes, just the same. I think they all get 40, the 45 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, but I mean, because you can get called for time for slow playing. I was saying, I don't know if that counts towards slow playing. You know what I mean? If I'm talking to you for too long, because honestly, that you're saying that would be a deficit to me, but if it doesn't count towards solo playing, I probably would happily be like, fuck yeah, I'm going to help you because I'm also going to be thinking about what I have to do right now.
Like, all right, yeah, I'll help him really quick.
Yeah, exactly. Like I would definitely make some fucking cue. Like I'd tap my heel 3 times. He'd be like, hey, Chris, what should I do right here?
Such like absolute cheating. It's gonna be on that video that we always watch. Who's that guy that like does the cheating scandals? He does a lot of those for Magic. He's the shuffling cards.
I don't know his name, but I know what you're talking about. Those videos are crazy. I love watching.
I love watching those. Oh, so they're so much fun. You're like, how did
you catch that?
Yeah, like what do you mean he did something? Anyways, I guess moving on. So that one, not a bad idea. I really wish they would add 2v2. It's not really like a game changing thing, but just adding a new thing, a new like mode into the format.
I will say that that idea would be for them to add alternative formats, but they are doing that, so I had to kind of break it down farther, you know.
I guess because yours, that's like your odd. Is that your odd one out? Is that what you said?
No, my first one was my odd one out, but this one was kind of like not as interesting as the third one. So
okay, well, I'm going to do my next one, which is kind of in that same vein of like, it wouldn't be like a master rule. It's more of a Konami, I wish this was more pushed. Mm-hmm. And honestly, maybe it could be in that same vein of like alternative format, but I think there should be more decks centered around winning off of like something your deck does. Like you just win.
Oh, I would love that.
I think it'd be really cool.
I think you have to be careful, but
I know. I'm sure there'd be some combo that would exploit winning like that. Mm-hmm. But I think like I wish there was almost, because this is where I think maybe a whole new format would be cool if you just did decks that were like that. And it was like a battle between like, oh, can I either chip my opponent's life points away fast enough, or can I do my alternative win and win that way?
Yeah. But like, or honestly, I think they could just make it cool too to like have cards that are just wicked hard to summon, or like have like crazy like effect requirements. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then like just summoning them or activating them win the game or something like that.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like, because like Ghost Trick has that. Remember they have that Exeast monster that if you get 10 materials attached to it, you win the duel.
Yeah.
So that's wicked hard to do. Like, not that it's wicked hard. There are super hard. There are combos to do it, but like it's still like it's a hard thing to do. So they should just make more decks like that, though. I totally agree with that.
The first one that comes to mind for me, I mean, just because it's like the deck after my own heart, is FA. They made that like weird ass continuous spell, and I'm always like, damn, that'd be cool. Like if only it was like easier to like turbo out, but it's so slow, and you have to like wait. You have to wait like each standby phase for it to happen, like, and it has to resolve. You can't let your opponent destroy it. And it's like, god damn it, how am I supposed to do that?
Yeah.
But I think it'd be cool to like actually have more of a like another reason to actually do the duel.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd fuck with that. That'd be.
I think it'd also slow the game down. Like, you wouldn't have to like function off of just like, oh, okay, I got to do an OTK or an FTK and then this game's over.
Yeah. Well, it would slow the game down, I think, in its own format.
Yeah, of course.
Because I think if a deck was based on that and you try to play it like now, it would probably suck because it would just get like FTK'd. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like. It'd have to be like its own format, I think.
This probably also runs in that same area where like you'd have to worry about doing stuff like Mystic Mine just to like delay your opponent so that you're able to do certain things.
What do you say?
I guess like Mystic Mine, or like just negating your opponent from if there ever was a deck that they came out with that like solely relied on, what's that one that is it Destiny Board or Final? What the hell is that one called? Is that Destiny Board?
I think it's Destiny.
Or Final Count. It's not Final Count. Destiny Board. It's the one where it's all the trap cards.
I think that's
like I'm wondering if there's some way to do it where you just Mystic Mine and you just like basically wait out your opponent on the second turn.
I'm sure there's definitely like Destiny Board deck made out there or something. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah. I'm just wondering. Like, I think that format would really have to like make sure that. I think Floodgates would be a really big problem with that one because a lot of them require to like do something extra to get the like victory. And Floodgates, I think, would just ruin the entire format because it's like, okay, well, I can't do my thing to make it so I win the game, so
yeah,
it's over.
Well, if it was its own format too, they could implement like their own ban list too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which we're definitely going to talk about later a little bit ban list stuff, but because remind me to bring the same conversation back up because that idea is interesting, but I don't know how many ban lists I want.
I got you. Well, my next topic's about ban lists. So.
Oh, really? So you give me the last one here. What's your last one?
The last one is that I genuinely think this for the whole TCG. This isn't like a change. Absolutely change it. Is I think we should implement the same kind of ban list, not like card for card, but the same kind of ban list that Duel Links has. And Duel Links, so they have a different ban list. They have unlimited, and they have 4 categories basically. They have unlimited, they have forbidden rather. They have limited 1, limited 2, and limited 3. And the way they work is that they just put cards in each list. And your deck is only allowed to have like 1 card from the limited 1 category. And your deck is only allowed to have 2 cards from the limited 2 category. And your deck is only allowed to have 3 cards from the limited 3 category.
So basically Forbidden's the only one that stays the same because
it's banned, yeah. But if Regeki was at 1 and Monster Reborn was at 1, you can't have both in your deck. You can only have one of them.
That's a really tough one. I don't know what their list look like, and I mean it's a completely different game because of how many different concepts of it. But I'd be very curious on how many people actually run multiple of those other things in their deck. I'm trying to think like a lot of the staple like one-ofs or anything like that. I don't think I usually run in a lot of decks. Like I don't run multiple limited cards in a ton of my decks, so I'm not sure how much like that would affect.
Well, yeah, but see, that's the nice thing is like. 4 decks, they can just put heavy hitter cards like Imperial Order or something like that, like something that's super sacky. Like if you just top deck it, you win. You know what I mean? Your opponent can't run 10 of them because let's say like for like Weather Painter, for instance, like I'm running Macro and Dimension Shifter. If they're both at 1 on the ban list, I can only run 1 of them. You know what I mean?
How big is the
cards like that?
I feel like the triple limited would go up a lot. The three of limited, I feel like that list would be huge.
Oh,
is it not?
I have no idea. I don't know what's on each ban list. I just know that's how they work.
I feel like that.
I imagine that would be the case. Big. Yeah, that's probably the case. But I like that one too. I really like the limited 3 of idea though, because it basically like you can still run your play set of the card, which is nice. Yeah, but you know what I mean?
You're probably taking something big out.
Yeah, exactly. But like I think that's a good.
Yeah, I like
because I like that one a lot too because it helps like when decks get hit like inadvertently. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it'd be cool if like tanky. I feel like would be like a 3 of type thing there, where like Tri Brigade broke it kind of thing. So like put it limited 3 or like limited 2 or something like that, so the other decks can still play them.
God, that's such a. It's so tough because that reminds me of the time I think you and I discussed this at one point is doing like certain decks would have certain cards banned, but I think that's probably gets too complicated.
Yeah, I agree that'd be too complicated, but it could also make it cool
because there's one deck to exploit.
What was that?
I feel like it usually just takes one deck to exploit one card. Like fucking
it does. It does
like
take
one deck has Ben 10 and it's like all right, Ben 10's the more broken piece of shit. Or one deck, they make one deck that can like basically get Imperial Order out so easily, and it's like, all right, well,
yeah.
But
sucks. Also consider with a ban list like that though, if a deck is breaking a card, like let's say Tri Brigade broke Tenki, let's say, those decks are really good because they also are abusing really strong cards. You know what I mean? So if they might not be able to run 3 Tenki. Or 2 tanky because they need to have another 2 of or 3 of in their deck.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's really cool.
Yeah, I also think it'd be cool too if they had a ban list like that and they put like a ton of the really strong hand traps on there. Because then you could still run your multiple copies of them. It's just that you would have to sacrifice other cards, but then you could also have like if you had them separated, like if Nibiru was at 1. Ash was at 2, and fucking, I don't know, Spooky Dogwood was at 3. You could still run like 3 hand traps of Spooky Dogwood. You know what I mean? So you can still have like your play set, but then you can also get some from your other pools, kind of thing.
Oh god, you know what I'd love if they? Oh, this would be like if they put Called By to 3 on that 3 list,
Exactly.
and then like put Ash on that 3 list.
Exactly.
And you could be like, all right, well.
I think it is like a really healthy deck building to do that. You know,
I think it would definitely level the playing field.
Yeah, it also makes it like I feel like your deck would be more, like your own kind of thing. Because I feel like that kind of like you're choosing to like, oh, I'm fuck Ash Blossom. I want my Call by the Graves. You know what I mean?
Sure. There's definitely a little more diversity on like what those extra cards that you are running. And like,
and I think decks would look different.
Do it.
Yeah, there'd be like way more builds. They'd be way more varied, I think. I mean, it'd still probably be like the best build of a deck. But
that's an interesting concept. I think that is probably your best one of the 3 that you proposed. But I mean, technically it's already a thing, but like I think it is a good idea. Yeah. Maybe just an alternative form just to try it to see how it would work in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like in normal Yu-Gi-Oh!, not Duel Links. But
we could do that, Jack.
I feel like we need to see a large scale. You need to see a tournament to see what decks kind of like play out. I almost feel like
we could do that. We could like set up a tournament. We make it like a weekly thing, and we make this custom ban list. And every week, you and I play like a different deck or something.
A week, we could do that. I will. The problem I think would end up being that I don't know how to exploit cards like some of the people do on the internet. And that like sometimes what's that guy that works with Team Sam all the time? You seen?
Yeah.
Like the way he makes decks sometimes, I'm like, I would have never in a million years thought, oh, you can use all these 13 specific cards to get this perfect 10,000 negate combo FTK.
Yeah, but I don't think that'd be the case with that. I think that would stop that for the most part. Especially because like we wouldn't be doing anything like we'd probably just look at all the banned and like the forbidden list as it is now, and like we're not going to add custom cards. I wouldn't think, or not custom cards, but cards of our choosing. You know what I mean?
I wonder how it would affect if you literally just took the Duel Links and like pasted it right now.
Well, they don't have.
I don't know what's on the
yet. So
what you're saying is
interesting.
Yeah, I think that would probably be super interesting for like what's that, Nightmare Goblin and Nightmare all those ones. Oh Jesus. Well, I guess you could just merge. You could take everything from the Forbidden limited list that we have and staple them on there.
Yes, but like,
no.
Yeah, like you could for the ones that can cross over. Sure.
All right. Well, I like that. I like that idea. I think that's probably out of all the ones that we've talked about so far, I think that would be. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's better than the 2 format. You and I have always longed for the duo format, but
yeah, but
I like
for what we're actually supposed to be talking about,
I feel like for realism too, that it makes since they already do that one, like why not just do it? Like I don't think it'd be that hard to implement.
What?
Like they already do it in Duel Links. Why don't they just try it for the other ones?
Oh, well, I'm sure it's that, like, they'd have to, like, go back on it, you know what I mean? Like, they'd look fucking stupid if they implemented this new thing, and then they were like, we take it back. That's not what we're going to work.
It's kind of like what we've been saying. Like, you could probably try it as an alternate format, and then if it worked, just, like, switch it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, to be fair, though, like, they also kind of, like, took back, like, fucking Link summoning and Link monsters being like,
yeah, basically like
a
key portion of doing the extra deck, and they're like, no, that was a mistake.
Yeah. So I guess they realistically could like do it,
but
and it wouldn't be. I guess it wouldn't
be
too different. You know what I mean? Than some of the other changes. Like it's equally as big of a change as a new monster, I would think.
Yeah, maybe.
So a new monster type would be cool.
So I guess on my last one is sort of like a new monster type, but not really. And I have always told you about this, or talked about this, because I love vanilla monsters. I think vanilla monsters were the original portion of Yu-Gi-Oh! That should still exist. And this is kind of like a Gemini thing almost, but it's not.
Oh, no.
So my proposition would be a new field zone a new kind of like a field zone, but the only thing it does is it's some sort of card that you put into the zone that would allow certain archetypes that used vanilla monsters in some case to use effects of cards you had in your hand and graveyard.
What?
So like you'd be able to, if you had something in this field zone, hear me out. If you had something in this field zone that did whatever it did, you'd be able to play a vanilla monster, and then you'd be able to use the effect of, by revealing it in your hand, the effect of a card from your hand as the same effect as that vanilla monster.
So it would just be one card for every normal monster in all of Yu-Gi-Oh?
No, it'd probably be archetype specific. So they probably have to start implementing whatchamacallits, but I think they could make generic ones too. Like, so it just works for.
But couldn't that just be a field spell for vanilla archetypes?
It probably could be a field spell for vanilla archetypes. But at the same time, I think it's so game changing that it just can't be a field spell. Like, basically, I mean, half the original portion of Yu-Gi-Oh would be like completely changed. You'd actually be able to use any vanilla monster ever
but it would be
for this like concept, I guess.
But it would be archetype specific.
So yeah, I guess if it's archetype specific, you could use it as like a field spell, but it would be different. I feel like because they all kind of only work with like you know how like field spells usually work for specific archetypes. This feels like it always does the same effect for all vanilla monsters, but archetype specific. So I feel like it needs to be a different zone.
I mean, I disagree with the whole idea.
I hate it altogether. I appreciate the honesty. Okay, well, fine. You workshop this with me because I want something to make vanilla monsters more sustainable, reliable, and
I think they just need to make good vanilla monster support.
Well,
I think your idea is a great idea for a field spell, just an outright field spell.
Yeah, so for like one deck, like it just gets the ability.
Honestly, I think yeah, sure. Like if you want to do it realistically, like yes, it has to be archetype specific. I think, but like I think it should just be a field spell. I don't think it needs to be like a separate card. Because then also like, I think it's not big enough to require a new card type just because it only affects normal monsters. So 90% of the decks in Yu-Gi-Oh like are never gonna see the card. You know what I mean?
So, you know what? Okay, here we go. More workshopping. What if to make it different, it was based on not archetypes but attributes and typing? So that would clump in more things in one like specific genre.
I would say that could work. I think you are gonna have the problem though, where like some effects are like broken as fuck, you know. So I think you would have to like let's say if a field spell said like, you know, fire normal monsters you control can do the effect that you're talking about. I think it would then have to say like you cannot summon or activate effects from the card's name that you copy or something like that.
Oh sure, that'd be fine. You could only activate this one effect. Yeah. You can only activate an effect of a new monster once per turn. Yeah. So like if you steal like you could even be like a steal kind of ability or written like that where you literally just take its effect and it can only be used once per turn.
Yeah. You know what I could see that being is like a field spell that's like you take a card, like let's say it's like again a fire monster, and let's say you can equip it with a fire monster from hand, and like it gains those effects right there, maybe.
Yeah, it's like it sucks because that though then is like such low card advantage because you first need to get the field spell, you then need to play the normal monster, which you're probably normal summoning, and then you're getting rid of whatever effect monster you like because you're equipping it. Yeah. Unless like hey, there was another stipulation. My idea was in like some sense you'd be able to still use the monster by just revealing it. You could use the effect on another turn. It's like basically running like however many vanilla monsters you run times the amount of that card you have.
How many vanilla monsters?
So like, sorry, that was said wrong. The amount of vanilla monsters you have times, I guess, 1. So like you could, plus 3. So it'd be like if I ran 9 vanilla monsters and I have, freaking Mizuki, I could use Mizuki's effect 9 different times. I guess it's a bad one because that one needs to be engraved. But
okay, yeah,
you could use it 9 different times plus the amount of times that you actually run Mizuki. So another three times.
Yeah, I get you. I guess that makes more sense. Like, there's no reason for them to implement it the other way, I guess.
I mean, just a off the cuff idea, but I'm trying to wish, like, I liked the idea of Link monsters, and I liked when they implemented a whole new card to the game, but I don't know what I would like. I feel like they've really touched upon every idea that I could possibly think of, and I'm sure that everyone says that, but they've used the levels of monsters. They've used like fusion generic stuff that was from the game. Ritual, which is basically fusion but worse because you have to use monsters in your deck. And then Xyz is another leveling thing, but without the tuner, and it has to be the same. And now Link is just like either generic or specific on just getting cards away. It's almost like fusion, but without the fusion spell, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know what else you do.
They'll come up with something, you know what I mean? I mean, they could do. Like in the anime in 5Ds, there's dark synchros that count down.
Fucking before I get like boom roasted for whoever makes it this far in the thing, I didn't forget Pendulum. It just sucks and I hate it and I don't want to talk about it.
Pendulum's great, dude.
Fuck off on the damn Pendulum.
Why don't you just play normal Pendulum? It's just Pendulum monsters that give their normal monsters effects.
Wait a minute, that was my big idea.
Just play Pendulum, Jack.
I don't wanna.
Just get one. Get like normal Pendulum. It's
to be fair, you always told me to do Metal Foes FA, and now you've like fallen in love with FA. So,
yeah, Metal Foes, because I was like, fuck this, I'm not waiting around for this doofus.
Okay, so those were our 6 ideas. I mean, if anyone gets this far, if you actually have an idea, write in the comments. I'd love to know different ideas, because I think that the format would be cool if it changed. I think it would be a little. I'm kind of ready for a new change. I feel like the difference between 4 and 5 is big, but it's not really like. It's just kind of going back. Like it was like, oh yeah, we just introduced Link Monsters for 4 then, because it doesn't. Yeah.
So, real quick, I have a fourth one I just thought of.
Oh, off the
cuff. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're gonna have to be like lenient with my explanation here, because I'm just
no, you were not lenient for my
just with my explanation. Just my explanation is that they should literally like Konami should rank decks into tiers, like exactly how we talk about them now, kind of thing.
Sure.
Whether or not it's the same way, like it's ranked now, I don't give a fuck. Just rank them, and then they should literally separate them into like as if it was like a boxing, like heavyweight, lightweight, whatever, and the different tiers. That way, it's just like a totally different meta, whatever tier you're playing. You know what I mean? So like you could be like, and like they could just have like, I don't want to say totally separate ban lists. That would be a little extreme, but like I feel like you would see things like that. You know what I mean? You would see things where like fucking tier 2 or rogue like isn't even touching some of the cards that the meta are, because like some decks aren't allowed there. You know what I mean? Like Drytron would be like, it wouldn't be allowed in like a rogue YCS or like whatever it is. You know what I mean?
The hard part is the specificity though of what's considered a Drytron deck. Does it have to use only? Can like a rogue deck use 3 of a card? Like, can you throw that in, or does it automatically make it? Or can like a big deck, like what cards are you actually listing as like non-archetypal? Like Harpy's Feather Duster is a Harpy card, but is it...
let's say that if it is in a meta deck, if it's in that archetype, it's just not allowed.
Wow, that's a big hit there. So only using those cards for those those ones.
Yeah, but to be fair, besides something like Tri-Brigade, I feel like you don't see much like interplay within decks. And let's say like Eldritch, I would say. Like you don't really see like those top decks being mixed with other decks, you know what I mean? Like the decks that you see mixed are usually like the rogue decks or something like that, where they're throwing or like Phantom Knights, I guess, too. But
I think you're definitely thinking on the right track, because I agree with you when it comes to the top tier. But then when you come to those, like, unless you can make it just meta and rogue, if you made like a lightweight, like midweight and heavyweight, it gets hard, because then what is the separation between the low and the middle, and then those middle decks not being allowed to use what's in the low decks? Because the low decks might have like some specific things. Like I'm thinking in my head, like incantations. Do those go into low, or do they go into middle, or do you put like
no? But
generic...
that's why I'm saying like they should tier them out And then once like the tiers are originally made, let's say, because like you can look at an event and say like 20 people came with Drytron. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So they can start with a scenario like that. Obviously, I feel like anytime like a format is made for the first time, it's gonna be fucking crazy. You know what I mean? So the first format might be like, the first format might have like some stupid rogue deck that's just like always the top. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But they can always change that. You know what I mean? So they could almost do like with a ban list, decks could almost move up and down. Because let's say like fucking Grenmaju's the best rogue deck. Well, it probably shouldn't be a rogue deck. You know what I mean? So it could move up. Like in their ban list could be like decks moving around.
Oof, that.
You know what I mean?
God damn. I feel like there's a lot of moving parts with that because I think that certain decks could really like destroy a format very quickly with new sets coming out.
I agree, but that's already how Yu-Gi-Oh is.
But then it determines like what is the determiner on whether you move a deck up or down versus banning a card and keeping in that format.
Well, you could do it based. You could do it. You could do it the same way I said it before. You could just do it based on like representation of the deck. So there could be like regionals for, let's say, Rogue again, or a YCS is just split up. Like one YCS, you could join the Rogue, section group, whatever. But like however many decks are there, whatever the meta decks are going to be the most viable. And then once they're below a certain point, like a percentage, or above a certain percentage, they could push them up or down. And then also depending on like they could do like how many wins in a row they get at like an event level. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If fucking Cyber Dragon wins 3 YCSs in a row, maybe it should go from tier 2 or 1.5 to like 1 or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
So what do you do with like the extra cards? Those just like free game for everyone?
What do you mean extra cards? Oh,
I guess like Mystic Mind doesn't have an archetype or anything like that, or
I would say they could be
Forbidden Droplet, or does Forbidden Droplet not? Does that count as an archetype? Or
I don't know if it does or not. I don't know.
Like if those I guess those weird like specific ones that you could use stuff like Phantom Knight's. What's that? Phantom Knight?
No, but that's
Fogblade.
Yeah, but like you probably wouldn't be able to use that. That's like a great deck. So like that's not going to be a problem in your rogue deck.
What about like Trap Tricks? Is it allowed to use half of the traps that it uses, or can it not use some of those? Because
I mean, I guess it depends how. I guess it would depend how like Konami ruled it. You know what I mean? That's like a little like ruling thing, but like that's not that's not like it's above Konami to make that call. It is in their realm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess I just wonder like how many like exceptions do you make to certain, whether something goes to something like Harpy's Feather Duster was the one I was thinking of, or Artifact Scythe and the Artifact Engine. Does that like
you don't anything up? It doesn't have to screw anything up because they can always ban things. Because there's even in our ban list now, there's always problem cards. You know what I mean? You're never not going to have a problem card. So it's fine if there are problem cards because they can be fixed later on. And then even if it does, like a thing like Harpy's Feather Duster, if that isn't available because it's too high of a tier or too low of a tier or like whatever, it will just make another archetype more viable in that format. Because not every deck could run Harpy's Feather Duster, let's say, in this format. So other decks that have an archetype spell and chat removal would therefore become better. And then you would see other play in decks. You know what I mean?
Does this open up the issue of like making more ban lists for each format though?
I mean, I think that they could do it either way. They could do it that way,
like meta ban list, rogue ban list.
They could do it that way if they wanted to. I feel like you would be able to get away with simply saying like this archetype isn't allowed in this tier or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of times the cards that are seeing play, are usually like one card. The cards that are being broken, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Samorg Link, like Tri Brigade took that one card and did it. So like you don't have to do like a whole ban list if it's like archetype specific, because like those cards might just not be viable or something like that.
I have a feeling that Konami's too lazy to do any of this. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, 100%. They would never fucking
absolute laziness.
It took them fucking like 16 years to make alternative formats.
Ugh, it's disgusting. Absolutely so lazy. Which is kind of like, I mean, I guess this isn't lazy. Well, I don't know. Is it lazy or not? This kind of transitions us. So Chris and I were talking about a little bit about the Master Duel and some of the things that they've come out and said about it. And Chris, you actually saw I don't know if it was an interview, article, or it was on Reddit or whatnot, and you were telling me about it. So I'll let you take over.
Yeah. Well, I saw it on an MCole video, and he was just saying that there's some interview that came out where they said like they're planning on keeping it an international game, so there's gonna be just an international ban list. So like we're like Master Duel is gonna be like the way it is now for a while. Like there's gonna be Max C and stuff. You know what I mean? And they also came out and said that there's not gonna be matches ever. It's always just gonna be singles.
That's just dumb to me. Why? I don't understand. Why not matches?
I don't know. The way I mean, I'm kind of okay with it because now that I know that, I can just think of it as a different format in my head. You know what I mean? Like now it's just like, okay, it's now I play Master Duel. Like it's not like I'm playing normal Yu-Gi-Oh. It's just another way to see the same cards.
You know what deck like really gets benefits from that, which I guess should put a little bit of a smile to my face, but at the same time, am I ever going to spend the gems to make this deck?
Were you going to say Gramaju or something?
No, Crawler.
Oh.
A huge portion of the problem with Crawler is like, oh man, game 2, oh, I shouldn't activate effects to like ruin your monsters? Okay, I won't.
Yeah. Well, honestly, that would be a deck that like I would probably end up building on there because I've basically decided I'm just not going to like build my actual decks into Master Duel. I'm going to build like a deck for Master Duel. You know what I mean? Like not necessarily like, I'm not going to say like triple maxi and shit like that, but I mean like, I'm just going to build a deck that is a good one-off deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I'm honestly kind of going back to the ban list that you said that they're not going to change it. I also think that's a little disgusting, too. The only thing I think is disgusting about it is that I have seen the error in my ways. Every ban list I was talking about how there should be Maxi back in the game. There's no need. It's fine. No, it's a problem. It is an absolute degenerate problem and it needs to go.
It's awful. It really is like a absolutely turn-ending card. Debatably, though. Like, some decks, I think... I mean, they call it, like, the Max C challenge, you know? Like, you fucking... Can you beat it? Can you go for game or whatever?
Yeah.
But, I will say, depending on your deck, I think you have a fine time. Like, Mech Knight, I don't mind playing the Max C challenge, but Mech Knight just loses to other decks in general on Master Duel.
It's not even that one that's the problem.
Yeah, it's not. But I also don't like the ban list on Master Duel, so I basically just delegated it now to being like a mobile game. That's just how I think about it.
Yeah, it's just its own game that's like the same but different. I will say it's like a trade-off though, because I'm so happy. Like I hate that Maxi's off the ban list, but God, do I love never seeing a Dragoon ever played. Like nothing really bothers me more than that. Or like there are some other cards that show up and I'm like, what the hell? Like when I see grass is greener, whatever.
Oh yeah, that grass looks greener.
Oh
or
my
the
God.
one that gets me because I play Mech Knights on there is fucking Vanity's Emptiness.
Oh,
like eat my ass. Fuck you.
Like come on. Why is that off? Like that is clearly a degenerate card.
Dude, you should look at OCG ban lists. It's fucking or not ban lists, deck profiles. It's wild. Like watching.
I wonder if just OCG players want to like kick their fucking toenails off.
Yeah. Well, their metagame is so slow. Not so slow. It's way slower than ours though, because they have those cards available. You know what I mean? Because yeah, like everyone playing meta has Vanity's Emptiness, has Maxis, has Ash Blossoms. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of have to play like a slower game. But no, yeah, I think I'm just gonna like make a deck that is like a Master Duel build or whatever. Whether or not that's one I own or like a different one, I don't know. But I was debating doing. What do you say?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I was debating doing Metal Foes because I have that built out fully already. That was the first deck I actually built, but I wasn't like I didn't put Electromite in there because I just kind of figured we were eventually gonna get a ban list.
Mm-hmm.
But now I know we're not. I'm just gonna get Electromite, and then I can actually play like full powered Metal Foes, which would be cool.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
But, I'm just going to keep playing Toon. Not affected by either ban list. Just play
Yeah.
Toon. Just because I love Toon.
Why not? I have seen the problem. I've actually never thought of this before, so this might be an interesting topic for you, because it's a going second thing. But I've never thought about the fact that as a going second player, you like almost want to lose the die roll.
A lot of the time, yeah, it's helpful.
Yeah, because they won't know what you're doing. Like, because playing Mech Knight, my build can go first or second, but like second is a lot better. So as soon as I click going second, they're like, okay, they're playing like OTK or something, or Mech Knight or fucking whatever. And
yeah, I mean, yeah,
I just never thought about that.
I saw that like too.
Yeah, I saw that on a DZ video, I think it was, and I was like, wow, I've just never thought that way.
This is my last round of thought, and then we'll end the cast. But do you happen to know off the top of your head, is Ancient Fairy Dragon on the ban list?
I don't know. I don't think it is.
Okay, FA's coming back, boy.
Oh yes, build FA.
I'll have FA online only, and I'm just gonna live off that. It's a quick story before we end it. I built FA was when I was like, wow, love this art, love it, greatest art ever. Race cars, I love race cars. Effects really cool because it's about level. Awesome. And I built the deck, bought Ancient Fairy Dragon because it was like, wow, this combo really cool. You destroy the field spell, awesome, great. Buy it. Next ban list, maybe a month later, if that.
I don't even think it was a month later. Ancient Fairy Dragon hadn't even arrived yet when you.
I think that may have been the case, and it got hit, and I was
it was like the next day.
God damn it! Oh, I was so mad. Now I cannot build an FA that I actually enjoy. That's not a combination of other shit. I want an FA deck that's FA, and they gave him a bullshit Link monster that sucks a bunch of cock that I don't want to use. It just makes me mad.
Jack,
just makes me mad.
One time you told me that there was a certain card that wouldn't work good in FA, and I absolutely didn't believe you, so I built FA online, and it's like the best card in the deck every time I've ever test-handed it. And I actually test-handed it like 100 times. I sat for like 3 days and built FAs.
What card was it?
PHOOEY Race Map. It's when you pay half your life points.
Yeah, we had a whole debate about this.
Yeah, I know, and it was literally amazing every time I drew it. It was just the best card. And
I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical about these.
It literally just searches Auto Navigator, and all of them. They're all 0. It searches just any card in the archetype because they all 0, and then they gain attack. So as literally just activate it, you can search any FA to hand.
I don't make the rules. I just know.
That's not a response. That doesn't.
All right. Well, we're out of time. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Chris doesn't know what he's talking about. He would definitely never be the middle seat in the 3-way duel.
Okay. Hands on the ground.
All right. Well, we will see you in the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed that because I like making the podcast. So we're going to continue making the podcast. So screw off and die.
Wow. Okay. Have a great day. Remember, Chris said that.
Die.